Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's presentation. My name is Tony Adams, and I'm the Vice President of the Kansas Auto Body Association. And on behalf of Kansas and our members, we'd like to welcome you tonight. As a reminder, and for those of you that may be joining us for the first time, there is a chat feature. If you've got questions throughout tonight's program, be sure and send in your questions through the chat. And James and I will work at fielding those and getting them back to our speaker. And with that, I'd like to introduce my good friend, Spike, James Rodas. It's all yours, buddy.
Thanks, Tony. Hey, everybody. James Rodas with the NABA. It seems like forever since I've been here. I think it was Christmas, if I remember right. I think Santa was here. So that's awesome. So tonight we have a change in programming. We actually lost Rivian for the time being, which is fine because it actually morphed pretty good into, we invited Sean Kelly, our lobbyist, on from Kelly Plucker or Plucker Kelly, one of the two. And Sean is going to walk us through how we got to where we're at. So those of you that do not know, we have a bill that was introduced. We're waiting for committee, hopefully, and let's get some laws on the books because they can't do anything if we don't have laws, and we're not sitting very well there. So let's go protect our consumers. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mr. Sean Kelly. Sean, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Spike. And thanks, everyone, for joining this evening. Giving you a little background of the Nebraska legislature and the process that we're undertaking with NABA here in 2021. So we do have a bill introduced. That's LB602. We'll get more into that detail later on, but I just want to introduce everyone to the legislative process here in Nebraska. So Nebraska, as many of you probably know, is different in the fact that we have a unicameral legislature. So we have only one house. Process-wise, that makes Nebraska a little unique in that we just have 49 senators, and it is a nonpartisan unicameral officially. Of course, every senator, has their political bent and follow along, what you would think traditional political philosophies would be in their voting style and what their priorities are. But nonetheless, they are nonpartisan in nature. So typically, they're free agents on every issue, and certainly the auto body issue I put into that bucket where we should have a decent shot with every senator that we talk to. So in the odd years in Nebraska, the legislature meets for 90 legislative days. In the even years, they meet for 60 days, and it's a biennial cycle. So bills, if they don't pass in the first year, they carry over to the second year. And if it's not passed at the end of the last day in the second year, then all those bills are killed. But the legislature met for its first day on January 6th, and the first 10 legislative days are for bill introduction. So there's no limit. Senators can introduce as many or as little bills as they desire. This year, despite our speaker's request that senators limit the amount of bills introduced due to COVID, we still had nearly 700 measures introduced. So that's a lot of subject matter. That's a lot of different areas of law, different proposals that are coming through every committee. And speaking of committees, there are 14 standing committees. So in those first 10 days, you get a bill, you find a senator to bring a bill, they introduce it, it gets read into the record, and then it goes to a referencing committee. That's a group of 9 state senators. That referencing committee then sends it off to one of the 14 standing committees, and then your bill will be set for the committee hearing. That's the opportunity to have the senator introduce it. Proponents come, opponents come, neutral testifiers come, letters are read into the record, constituents are emailing their senators if they care. That's when the senators get all the public input for the subject matter. What makes Nebraska a little unique is that every bill, well, very unique really, every bill that is introduced gets a hearing. So in some states, you could just get buried, the committee chair doesn't like your subject matter, you never see the light of day. Not the case in Nebraska. Every single bill has that public hearing. So regardless of how bad your idea is, how good your idea is, you're going to sit in front of, depending on the committee, 7 to 9 members of the legislature, and make your pitch as to why they should favorably consider the legislation. So once you have your bill, you get reference to committee. The committee chair sets all these bills for committee hearing dates. And after they consider it, after that committee hearing, after they consider it, they have to, a majority members of the committee have to vote in favor to advance it. So in our case, we're in the Banking, Insurance, and Commerce Committee. There are 8 members. We need 5 of the 8 to say, yay, let's vote this thing out to the entire floor of the legislature. So back up a little bit. You introduce a bill, gets referenced to committee, have the committee hearing, get the majority members of the committee to vote in favor, and you're out onto the floor. There are 3 rounds of floor debate in Nebraska. They're called general file, select file, final reading. If you get through all 3 of those, you go onto the governor's desk. Not every single bill that gets voted out of committee gets heard before the entire legislature. So we have these things that are called priority designations. So if you're successful in getting out of committee, you really need to get on to a priority designation bill. Each senator has 1. So these are at a real premium. Each senator has 1. The speaker has 25. Each standing committee has 2. So that in total, that's about 100 and change priority designation bills. Of course, amendments can be filed onto bills, onto different priority bills. So you could have a priority bill come through that's got 3 or 4 bills on it, for example. There is some limitation, don't want to get too much in the weeds, but it has to be the same subject matter. You couldn't do a bill on property taxes and auto body insurance in the same bill. That would be seen as not germane. So that is our legislative process as an overview. Now I'm going to share our experience working with NABA in getting our bill introduced, why we chose the people we did, and where we're at in the process, and last, how we can effectively advocate for this bill. So Legislative Bill 602, introduced by Senator Pauls. We had worked with the exec committee of NABA for several weeks, drafts, redrafts, different ideas. Gina Cotton and I talked with the Rhode Island Association, who've paved a lot of ground on this subject matter. Their lobbyist was kind enough to review our legislation, gave me tons of feedback on a call with her for an hour one day. So got really good feedback from her as to pitfalls in our legislation, what's good, what's bad, what to avoid, what the arguments will be on the other side. So that's kind of the pre-session bill drafting phase, which is really a lot of work. So we took our concepts, gave them to the legislative bill drafters. They came back, shared it with NABA exec committee, got a lot of feedback, and finally got our bill in final form, and found our sponsor in Senator Rich Pauls. So certainly, as you can imagine, effectiveness of senators in a state legislature vary wildly, right? You have some extremely effective senators. They get their name on a bill, it's got a much better chance than someone who's not very effective for whatever reason. Senator Pauls served in the legislature for 8 years. He's a former chair of the Banking, Insurance, and Commerce Committee. When he left the legislature, he went and served on the Omaha City Council, and then got asked by the Republican Party to go back and serve in the legislature. So Senator Pauls is back in the legislature. We feel really good about him as a sponsor, especially because of his experience in serving in the legislature, but he also is serving on the Banking, Insurance, and Commerce Committee. So Senator Pauls accepted our request to introduce the bill. He dropped it in. We're referred to the Banking, Insurance, and Commerce Committee, as I stated already. And now where we are at in the process is we are waiting for Chairman Matt Williams of the committee to schedule us for a hearing.
Hey,
Little
Sean,
different. Yep.
can
Go
I
ahead,
hop in
Spike.
real quick?
Yep.
So I just want everybody to know that this wasn't, we picked one person and ran with it. This was, I believe we met multiple times.
Oh yeah.
The last one or two, I think, was about an hour, hour and a half. So we really did some vetting on our side, narrowed it down to 2 great candidates, and then took a vote as a committee. And I believe there were 12 or 13 people in the total committee. So we really did our legwork on the backside of this, and then ended up with Sean and Julia. So I just want everyone to understand that we didn't just pick somebody out of a phone book and run with it. We did some homework and picked who we felt was the best for our association. So sorry, Sean.
Nope. All good. So a little different this year with COVID. Typically, the legislative process is they meet at 9, floor debate till 9, recess for lunch, go to committee hearings starting at 1:30. Due to COVID, the speaker is limiting and avoiding virtually all morning floor debate and is doing committee hearings first, and then he'll do floor debate. So starting today, actually today was the first day of committee hearings. Committee hearings begin at 9:30, and then they recess for lunch, and then they can continue on at 1:30. So it's basically full day committee hearings. For the legislature to get through all these committee hearings, it'll probably be through the first week of March. A plus side of that from our perspective is all the committee hearings should be done before the priority designation deadline. So if usually you're scrambling to get an early hearing date so you can get your bill up, lobby your bill like crazy, or when you find out you're having trouble with one senator, hey Spike, I got a problem with Senator Jones. Do you have any shop in his district? Any customers that who could call him? We really need to get his vote. So usually you're really trying to get that early hearing date. In our case, the priority designation deadline is beyond the committee hearing schedule. So with all these truncated hearings just really packed in, less of an urgency to get one of those early hearing dates. We don't have that date quite yet, but I can tell you the Banking, Insurance, and Commerce Committee meets on Mondays and Tuesdays. So we will be up on a Monday or Tuesday. So that is for certain. There are 8 members of this committee. And so going forward here, we will be sending talking points out regarding the bill. If you have any questions, please be in touch with Dave, Spike, or Gina to make sure we're getting the right talking points to our state senators. So important to remember, and I know you guys are passionate, everybody's passionate about their piece of legislation, whatever your industry profession is, but they have so many bills and so much stuff thrown at them. They are literally drinking from a fire hose. You talk to freshman senators, they are so overwhelmed. They just don't even know how to stay on top of it, and that's understandable. They're introducing many bills themselves. They're hearing literally dozens of bills every single week, and so it's hard for them to keep everything on one page. The simpler the case you can make, the better. Just know that they're likely hearing this for the first time. You really want to dumb it down, and it's really important to ask for their support. It's sometimes they're going to say, well, hey, I want to hear from the other side. Totally fine. It's very reasonable, but it's important to ask for their support. I mean, you want to ask for something so they know that you're not just bringing something to their attention. So Spike, that's an overview. I'm sure I left something out. Anything you want me to focus on with more specifics?
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Why don't we run through our bill, what our bill is? So everybody knows exactly what it is that we're asking for on the
Sure.
first go round. And you know that our starting bill may not be what we end up with because there's always compromise, give and take in that process.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So starting point of our bill, LB602, essentially no aftermarket parts for a vehicle for the first 36 months. The insurance industry must give the consumer notice if aftermarket parts are used on a vehicle that is 36 months old or older. If an insurer is providing insurance on a vehicle older than 36 months, they must have consumer notice to the consumer, and the consumer must acknowledge that they understand and acknowledge that the insurer may use aftermarket parts on their vehicle if it's in a collision. On total loss, not a total loss unless 75% of the value. And we're prohibiting certain aspects of the repair to be included in that 75%. Spike, you want to go into some more detail?
Yeah, so as far as the notice to the consumer or the consumer acknowledging that they're getting aftermarket parts, so what the bill basically says is on a piece of paper with no other policy language on it, the consumer would have to read and sign off on that they understand that their policy has aftermarket parts. So at that point, the consumer should have that option to get a rider that is factory parts. And from some research that we've done just from customers that have done it, that seems to be somewhere around the $160, $200 for a whole year to get factory OEM parts for your car, which we think is pretty good. The things that we're excluding are airbags, anything associated with an airbag, aftermarket parts, licensing, taxes, tow bills, rental fees, all of that will now come out of the total loss evaluation. And that valuation will be done by a third party such as Kelley Blue Book or something like that. That's still kind of a tough one to negotiate a little bit, but with talking with the committee, our best shot is get something on the books, see how it affects us, and then we can adjust with that later. We know that they're going to play with valuation some, which is fine. They already do. If we can remove all that stuff, they can't mess with the valuations that much. Aftermarket, I'm getting asked aftermarket add-on parts, right? Correct. So, if you've got a buck shield, a topper, anything like that, that should all come off of the valuation of the vehicle. And again, use the questions function or text me if you want to ask a question to Sean, and we will get that question asked and answered. That's what this is for. It's pretty hard to get these guys all in a room together, when we're talking a whole state. So please ask questions away and let's get it all figured out.
And Spike, really important to note, very consumer focused, right?
Absolutely.
This is consumer protection legislation. So critical to hammer that point home.
Yes, absolutely. And, on the backside, we're working with Rhode Island, Texas. We're working with the old regime at the NABA, learning from their mistakes, what things that they failed on in 1992. I mean, I could show you guys hundreds of emails going back and forth with the guys from 92 with what they learned. And it's actually, it's amazing. So in Nebraska, they tell us that we cannot file claims with the Department of Insurance. I can show you something on the books that says we can. So that's things that we're going to go to the Department of Insurance with and learn that, because one of the things they're going to come back with and say is, we're not hearing that there's a problem. We know that there's a problem. We've done a poor job of getting our customer to file claims, which is fine. We'll get better with that. One of the questions is increase in premium price. There probably is going to be an increase in premium price, but history tells us that they're going to increase anyways. And our way to combat that is we're going to simply say, what's a life worth? You know, OEM parts, we know we're better. We have crash test data that backs that up. Thank you, John Eagle, because they provided that for us. So that's going to be some of it. And the other side of that is, I can tell you for a fact that if you put in an aftermarket radiator and an aftermarket condenser, that you've now voided your warranty on anything that those parts are affected with. So if that aftermarket part that does get decertified, maybe 6 months down the road, you've just screwed that whole person's factory warranty on their car. And we all know that it comes up that, you know, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Those parts are quality. Well, if they're quality, then why are they getting decertified? And that's just part of it. Somebody is asking, will there be an insurance lobbyist there to argue the other side? Absolutely.
100%, Spike. That'll be the first. Well, the question before that is what they're exactly going to say is that, sure, you want to do this, it's just going to, you know, raise premium costs for everybody in Nebraska. And B, we don't really see a problem out there. Have you guys heard of anybody telling you there's a problem?
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing with going to the Department of Insurance is we got to start getting, you know, some of that stuff on record. And I understand we got agreements, you know, with the DRP or whatever that is. And I understand that, but we've got to find a way to start letting the DOI know that there is an issue. And we can do that nicely. I mean, we don't have to be assholes about it, but we do need to start getting some things sent into them so we can make sure that they understand. So here's something I'm going to throw out. If you have a customer that has been affected with any of these things that we're trying to present, they don't have to go down and talk. We need a letter. We need something, and Sean can help with this. We need something to give to the senators and the committee saying, hey, this affected this person. So we all know that when a car totals, the customer is out money. We see it every day at our location, and that is simply because they're upside down in their lease or their loan now, and they're rolling it over into the next vehicle that they own. So that's one of them things that's a way that we can show them that they are getting affected, and that's real. I mean, it's not a joke. It's really happening to people. So we need to explain that to these senators. And I actually feel pretty good so far. I don't know about you, Sean, but you know, we think we kind of have 2 on our side right now out of the 8. If we got to get half or a majority, you know, I think we're sitting okay with where we're starting at now. We have some work ahead of us, but how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel good about it. I had one conversation with Senator McAllister, who's on the committee, and his family used to own McAllister Trucking. He sold it about 15 years ago, and he made a smart ass comment. Oh, we used to buy parts from the junkyard. There's nothing wrong with those parts. So I mean, we'll have some folks that have a different personal experience that we'll have to deal with. But no, I feel really good about it. I think we got to remember our political assets are far greater than the insurance companies. Sure, the insurance companies are far more organized than we've been in the past, and they write a bunch of big checks, okay? So those are the 2 things they have going for them. They're institutional lobbyists, they're institutional advocates, and they write big checks. But their downside is nobody likes them. And all these senators have probably not very many good experiences with their car insurance companies. Our political assets are our consumers first and foremost. Spike, you noted that if you have any customer stories, folks who have been negatively impacted, that would be even willing to write a letter. That is seriously critical. I mean, it seems like nothing, but it is critical. And then secondly, it's you guys. You guys are business owners. You guys are constituents. You have the stories to tell as well. And that is a big impact. And that's something that the other side does not have. And to back up a little bit, ways to communicate with our state senators in Nebraska. So for the committee hearing, of course, there's the option to have live testimony. Spike and I have, and Julia and Gina, we all talked about who the best testifiers would be. We've ran that by Senator Pauls. So I think we've got a good penciled in list for those who can testify at the committee hearing. But second to that, you can write a letter or have others write letters to the chair of the committee. And then new this year with COVID, there's a online function where you can submit online letters essentially to all of the state senators. The state senators can access this little portal. So we can get into that web address and that, but those three functions, we'll be doing all three of those to make sure we can get this bill out of committee.
So we're going to need all hands on deck for this. I mean, we need every possible person, whether it's writing a letter, going down, talking to them after we get out of committee, right, Sean? Because once we get out, our work's not done. Then that's when we're going to go to senators individually and kind of hammer this home, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
absolutely. This is very much a one step at a time process. You know, you can't do it all in one shot. So get the bill introduced, prepare for the committee hearing, lobby the hell out of your bill, get it out of committee, work the entire floor of the legislature.
So can we get a list of those on the committee? Yes, we do have the list of those on the committee. And Gina will be setting all that up. So here's what we're going to ask everybody to do. Call me, call Gina, call Dave Yard, email me, email Gina, email Dave Yard. If you don't have that, james.rodas@nebraskaautobody.com, dave.yard@nebraskaautobody.com, gina.cotton@nebraskaautobody.com. Find us on Facebook, find us wherever, and let us know you're interested. Let us know you're in the fight. And that's what we need. You know, like Sean was saying that we can all write letters. We honestly need every shop to write a letter. I mean, that's just where we're at with this. And I know, me being from Omaha, we have the most senators in Omaha, blah, blah, blah. That really doesn't matter. We need the western half of the state because our state's kind of weird. It's rural against urban. The rural guys, they kind of have their own preconceived notion. So we need to change their mind a little bit. I mean, to me, I feel like Omaha and Lincoln's kind of a shoo-in. We can make that argument pretty well. It's the western half of the state that we got to worry about. And that's why we've chosen who we've chosen to speak to the committee. For one, they're kind of in that area, and that helps us. Normally, we would have somewhere between 8 and 12 people speaking to the committee, Sean. This year, we're going to have 4, maybe 5 if we're lucky.
Yeah, 8 to 12 would probably be high, but I mean, 4 to 6 is a really good, strong support testimony.
And Senator Pauls was a little worried and thought that the dealerships would be against some of these. But we kind of have our bases covered there.
Yep,
so that's kind of one avenue that he was pretty concerned about. So we've got that part handled. And the rest is, you know, kind of on us. We need to be able to explain why this is affecting our customers and our businesses. Customers being number one, businesses being number two. When we go to the senators and we speak, we can't go down a rabbit hole. We need to stay on point, our 4 topics, and that kind of needs to be it. Correct, Sean?
That's exactly right. It's got to be focused. And to give just briefly, I can give the committee membership now in their hometown. Matt Williams, Gothenburg, Ray Aguilar, Grand Island, Elliot Bostar, Lincoln, Mike Flood, Norfolk, Brett Lindstrom, Omaha, John McAllister, Omaha, Rich Pauls, our sponsor, Omaha, Julie Slama, Peru.
What was the last one?
Peru, Nebraska, Southeast
Okay.
Nebraska.
So out of that whole committee, as far as I know, we only have one person that we don't have a shop in their district. So all you Omaha guys, get a hold of me, because giddy up, we're gonna go get after this. I know we have Gothenburg covered, Norfolk we have covered, Grand Island we have covered, Lincoln we have covered. If anybody knows anybody in the Peru area, Peru's pretty small, so I don't feel real great about that.
Think about Nebraska City.
Yeah. Is Nebraska City in the same area?
Yeah, the same district.
Okay. I believe I do know a shop in Nebraska City. So, you know, we got to get out. We got to get ready to beat the drum and get going. Hey, Tony Adams, you on here? Do you got any questions?
No questions from me, buddy.
We're going to give it just another minute or two and let questions come in. Like I said, use the questions function or shoot me a text, because we want to try and make sure everybody understands how this is going to work. Mr. Clark, I know you're on here. Sean Sabin, Doug Keller. Shoot me some questions, guys. Let's make sure we get as much as we can answered tonight, because we need to hit the ground running here probably in the next week or so, Sean, to get to the committee members.
Will, at the minimum, we'll have 1 week's notice for our committee hearing. So we'll have time to prepare, but yeah, it's going to be pretty fast and furious pace here momentarily.
Sean, would you mind running through the main talking points?
Sure. You know, we've got a talking point sheet put together, and Spike, you can help me refine these as well. But you know, essentially, people have cars. They got their insurance policy, newer car, get into an accident, go try to get it fixed. They want to drive off the lot like they had the car before, and insurance companies aren't letting that happen, right? Where the car repair is not as good of a vehicle as it was and as it should be, and the insurance policy is not sufficient and is not what the consumer is really paying for. If they get their vehicle damaged, they want to leave the repair shop as it was before it got in a collision. Secondly, on the loss feature, it's becoming the secondary market for insurance companies to just total cars when they're perfectly able to be repaired in a safe condition, and sending them out to salvage where they get fixed by inadequately, and then you have dangerous vehicles that are on the road. Spike, you can probably be more articulate than me, but those are the main points that I'm focusing on.
I think that kind of hits it on the head a little bit. Getting a lot of questions on, will we meet to be able to go over this? Yeah. Sean, when do you foresee the first shot of us having to go in the front of the committee?
I'm going to say mid to late February.
Okay, so I know Gina is on the call. Gina, can we set something up for one night? Let me get a date here.
And James, I just sent you the talking points, and I sent it as well in your email.
Okay.
And
I can up for the week of the 8th through the 12th. So let's do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9th, 10th, or 11th in Lincoln. And then let's plan the next week in Omaha. And we'll just kind of, we'll let people zoom in if they're from Western Nebraska, because obviously we're not going to make that during the week. But we can just kind of make sure that everybody has what they want to go forward.
Yeah, and do not worry. anybody who is going to make a contact or wants to make a contact with a state senator, you will be prepared. I promise you. And especially those that will be called upon to testify, you'll be prepared. It will not be something you're uncomfortable with.
Sean, the
So I'm just
question, I'm gonna pipe in, this is Gina. The question we get is, will you assist in writing up the testimony? So if you met with a person that's supposed to testify, can you help draft what they're going to say so they can read it? And should they get a question, is there an opportunity for somebody to help them if they don't have the answer? Will there be somebody there can help them with that answer?
So first question, yes. I think we will have our testimonies will be very strategic, right? I mean, we're going to have different perspectives come in, targeted senators that are or targeted testifiers that have a relationship or in the districts of those senators. So yes, that testimony will be drafted. As to questions, we can plant some softballs within the committee and have friendly committee members ask those questions on our behalf. But no, I mean, sure, the insurance company will be doing the same thing. And so if you're in the chair and you get a question, it's perfectly fine to say, Senator, I just don't know the answer to that question, but I'm happy to get that information to you, after the hearing. So yeah, that's a little bit about our control.
So at that point, our other people that are there cannot answer that question. So if we have somebody in the seat, they couldn't say, so-and-so might be better to answer that question. That's not an option.
You could do that, but you can't have anybody in the audience say, Spike, it's, minus error, but whatever. But they could say, if you're the first or second, third, hey, I don't know that, but a testifier behind me very well may be able to answer that question. And then at the conclusion of the next testifier or whoever would have that answer, they can just say, Senator Williams, to your question, here's the answer.
So we are going to have a dealership person and probably a consumer. Maybe they need to go first. So if they're asked, the consumer is probably not going to get asked a lot, but the dealership person, to Senator Paul's point, is going to go. If they're asked anything that maybe is outside their realm, we probably need somebody going after them that can clean that up probably.
Yeah, so you want probably your first testifier to be your most subject matter expert, and then yes, for that last person would be the cleanup hitter that can clean up, anything that was left unanswered.
And then with COVID, do you think we could get away with 5 people testifying? Or is that going to be too many with COVID?
Nope, that's fine.
So just a reminder to the people in Omaha and Lincoln, the reason we've chosen who we've chosen to testify is they're in the districts that matter. And that's huge. That doesn't mean we want to slide anybody. It's real world at that point. And we know that we have to target certain people. And that's some of why we have certain people testifying, is because it makes a difference, correct?
Yep. Our next goal is counting to 5. How do we get 5 of 8? We just got to get 5 of 8. And then we fight to live another day.
Sean, if I might interject just a quick second. Yeah. So we are asking everybody to just stay stay calm, stay quiet for just a minute until you give us the go ahead to say go. And then we will identify who you should contact and what you should say to them. But you will give us that day to do that, correct?
Yeah, and I think we're about to cut everyone loose, honestly. I mean, we've been referred to the committee just on Friday. So yeah, I'll talk to Julia in the morning, and I think we're probably ready to go.
Great.
Anybody else get some questions in if you have them? And shameless plug, please, if you're at a shop, you're willing to donate, this is not cheap. Anything you donate is going to go only to the lobbyist fund. We don't want this to be a one and done. We want this to be, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, we're still doing this. If you look at the good associations, they have a lobbyist that is fighting for them. Every year they're introducing bills. We may not win year one. I mean, that doesn't always happen. That doesn't happen more often than not. We need to get down there. We need to make a name for ourselves that we're fighting for the consumer. And if it doesn't happen year one, our plan is to go to year two. We're going to learn a little. None of us are experts in this. I know we all have an idea of how this is supposed to happen. It's really not it. In a perfect world, it would be, but we need everyone to be patient. We're going to do our best. We have a lot of people behind the scenes working on this. We're trying to put our best bill forward. Perfect world, we get everything we want this year. We'll sit down next year. Anybody that wants to be part of the committee will be able to be part of the committee. And we're going to throw bills out again, and we're going to pick the top 2, 3, or 4, and then we'll go after those. That's just how it's going to work going forward. And we want anybody that wants to be part of it to be part of it. I mean, we honestly had a technician that was part of our legislative committee. So for the owners that aren't here, that should tell you that there's people that care a lot. And I understand we're all busy, but this is our livelihood. It's our consumers, life or whatever that we're talking about, their livelihood, their monies. So it's serious stuff.
James, I'm gonna add one thing to having a lobbyist on our side and continuing to have them on retainer for us. It protects us if there is legislation that is introduced that could affect the industry negatively. We need them in our corner watching out for our interests. So it's not just about introducing legislation, it's also protecting us from legislation that could be introduced that could affect us negatively. So they are a huge, important part of our work.
So Cliff raised his hand. Cliff, can you either text me or instant message me your question if you can't find the question section? And Tony, I don't know if you're still on. My question thing kind of disappeared, so you may have to look at that.
I'm watching it, and then I got a question for you. You had made a mention about donating funds to help with the lobbyists. How do shops go about doing that?
That would be simply get a hold of Gina or anybody. And that money is only going to go to the lobbyist. If you designate it to the lobbyist, it will get spent on nothing else. We're actually pretty frugal at the NABA. We've done a very good job. We're trying to keep that going up so the NABA will be around for years to come, which would be great. So that's our goal. But anything that you give that is towards the lobbyist will only go towards the lobbyist.
Mike, I feel just so honored. You're fundraising for me right now. I just feel like I need to do something for you. Can I send you a shot or?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I got Bob telling me apparently I need another drink because I'm getting empty. We had
You had a question come in, James.
I just seen that one. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, just to clarify, NABA has never introduced a bill prior to this one.
They have. So they were actually fairly active in the late 80s and early 90s. From the best that I can glean, talking to those guys and talking to people that have been around longer than me, they didn't do a very good job. They didn't do their homework. I'm not saying we're great, but I feel that we've done our homework. I'm getting lots of information from those guys. Some of them guys were kind of home run hitters, but it sounds like they feel they went about it wrong. We tried to be very precise in the wording of our bills because they admit they passed bills that did not help us and they actually hurt us. Like we have a law in the books that says insurance only has to pay whatever the lowest estimate is. That doesn't help us any, but it is what it is. It's the law that's on the books, so it's what we have to deal with. That's stuff that we can change and affect down the road. As an association and a committee, we kind of felt, and we put this out to everybody that wanted to be on the committee. We had every committee member, I believe, write down 3 bills. And we looked at what overlapped the most, even the ones that didn't overlap. We went to both lobbyists that we looked at in the end, and we said, here's all of our bills. What gives us the best chance to succeed? Correct, Sean?
That's right. Yep.
So, you know, if a bill that you wanted wasn't here, it's simply because at the time we felt that that was probably not the easiest to get passed. And Sean, you can either agree or disagree.
Yeah,
Once we get our
no,
name, it might be
I'd
a
like
little
to
easier.
add, you know, when you haven't been in the game for a long time, it is so critical when you get back in that you don't take a step backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to think that that is a possibility on some issues, but if you don't have your stuff together going in, you can actually take a step back. We're going up against a huge industry, and if you don't have a well-crafted bill, something well thought out that you can make a good argument, senators can kind of just blow you off. You don't get their time anymore, and then when you try to come back and fix it where you messed up, they're kind of already written you off like, oh yeah, we remember that piece of crap we saw, we're not entertaining that again. So it is important to have all your ducks in a row.
Okay, so I got a couple more questions I was going to answer offline, but I'm going to go ahead and throw that on there. One of them is, shouldn't it be easier to pass the laws using neighboring states' laws? Yes, the only problem is we don't have a lot of great laws in neighboring states. And one thing we've done is we've done a lot of homework to see what other states have laws like what we have. And I believe 1 or 2 of the laws that we have, I think we found up to 27 other states have that. Is that correct, Sean?
Yep, that's right.
So Nebraska, I'm just going to be real honest here. We are never going to blaze the trails. We're going to match what other people have done. That's just how it works. I'm sorry, I didn't make the rules, but both of our lobbyists have said Nebraska is never going to be the first one to do something. Now, not saying we're in this game for 5 or 6 years. We get a pretty good name for ourselves down there, protecting consumers and bringing stuff that makes sense. We might have a shot. Year 1, no way in hell, right?
That's 100% correct. And I told Spike and Dave and Gina, said, we need to know that one of the first questions we're going to get is, how many other states do this? And sure enough, when we went through the bill with Senator Pauls, first question out of his mouth, how many other states do this? Nebraska's not going to be the first to do anything. We want to be comfortable. We want to make sure we're not making a mistake. Conservative nature.
And a lot of that is the west side of the state. I mean, kind of what I'm getting out of is they're a lot more conservative out there. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And then I got to ask, who is going to testify in the Omaha district? As of right now, our plan for testimony, we are going to have a very high level person at Woodhouse to combat the dealerships aren't going to like that. We are going to have Doug Keller, who has 6 locations, 2 of which are in the areas that we have people on the committee. I'm trying to think, we're going to hopefully have a consumer. We think we have that narrowed down. We're working on that. And then Sean Sabin is also going to be one of them. And Sean Sabin was chosen because the guy in his district is the committee chair. Those are the 2 chairs that we feel really good about. When you throw in Doug Keller in Eustis, who has 5 or 6 locations, that could bring us up to 4 committee members right there. And they're good people in the districts. They're helping consumers. They're trying to do stuff the right way. So that's kind of why they were chosen. I think we have a pretty good plan going forward. He is even in Omaha. So we kind of have Senator Pauls on our side in Omaha that can kind of help work with the Omaha people. And also we can call those people ahead of time. We can have a lunch with those guys ahead of time, which is uber important. And I don't want to slide anybody because we didn't pick them or whatever the case may be, but A lot of that is simply because of COVID. We just can't have as many people down there. There's some other great people that I would have loved to have, but strategically we chose who we chose because of the districts they're in, and we feel that they're going to represent us well. Correct, Sean?
Yeah, that's right, Spike. But, you know, I would also just leave the door open to any other member. I mean, if people are really dying to come testify, let's just see how it goes. I watched committee hearings today, and, you know, there's quite a few, you know, less than normal. But assuming that there are still a lot of testifiers coming through, then maybe we move the list a little bigger. I think we just kind of wait and see on that point.
I was told to be on camera when I interject. Me, Dave Yard. I think it is important. It's better to have it look like we have more people than less. I'd rather have it go, wow, there's so many people that have a dog in this fight, COVID or not COVID, to say we have all of these people on standby, whatever the committee has time for. I'd rather err on that side. So I don't want to eliminate. I want to hear from everybody, whoever, whatever shop, whatever consumer thinks they have a story, please contact James. He's really our lead in this. And to say, I think I have something to say, and then let us rule that and narrow it down, but please bring us. I'd rather have 100 to choose from, and maybe we pick 10 than having only 5 and we only put up 5. I'd rather hear from 100 people and let us kind of go through that list. Your thoughts, Sean?
Actually, let's dumb it down a little. Instead of emailing all of us, email info@nebraskaautobody.com, and that goes to the whole leadership team, and we have less chance of somebody getting forgot or anything like that.
Fantastic. And I want one more point to add is the difference that we have in Nebraska is we have, it is a unicameral, and I know you touched on that, Sean, but I think it's important that we have a shop or a constituent in every single legislative district. I have sent out the map, and I need all of you to reach out to find shops that make sure that we have representation all across the state of Nebraska. So if we should get this to the floor, obviously we got to get to the floor, that we have those votes in place, and that's what it takes. It takes a very strong organization to get that to happen. So there's my plug.
And also on the backside of that, go ahead, Sean.
And never underestimate the value of a constituent contact. I know it's easy to think in politics today, no one's listening. I think the Nebraska legislature is unique in the fact that they really do pay attention. So whether, even if it's your cousin or anybody else, I mean, the more contacts you can come get into the state house, the better off we are.
Well, I got to give a shout out to the guys at B Street, because they actually came to us during COVID and they said, hey, how do we help? And our way that we needed help was we needed shops contacted. All of us have jobs. None of us get paid to do this. And, you know, just like everybody else during COVID, everybody was a little slow. So B Street took it upon themselves to help reach out to some shops. So this weekend, we will be going through that whole list, finding out those shops that are in those areas that we have senators in, and we will be calling those shops next week to get them to join the association, to make sure they understand what we're doing and why it's important. And I hope everybody agrees that we got some pretty decent bills going forward. Is it exactly 110% what everybody wants? No, but we got some pretty good stuff going forward. And let's rattle the cage a little bit. And I think, Sean, you had to skate out a touch early, did you not?
Yes. And let me just add.
Yeah, about 7, yeah.
You can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket. We have bought a ticket. We're in, right? James, I thought you'd like that.
We are in. I mean, let's hit the $1 billion, baby.
Let's go. Well, I appreciate the work that Sean's doing. They've worked very hard, but we need input from everybody. So we're not eliminating anybody. We want the feedback. info@nebraskaautobody.com is the way to get a hold of all of us. Fantastic.
So
yeah, and just when I talked to Senator Williams, who chairs that committee in late November, he already knew his auto body people in his district. So no pressure, Sean Saban, but he already thought well of you, so I think we're already on the right track.
So I thought it was a great call. I hope everybody was happy with it. Anything, and again, we need your support. We need you to join the association. We need you to donate if you feel that you can donate. We need you to rattle that drum for us. We need you to write letters. We need you to get with your congressman or senator or whatever we call them. We need to beat that drum, guys. This is our time to maybe get some stuff on the books. Omaha, we can't do it without the west side of the state. West side of the state, you can't do it without Omaha. You know, we go to stuff and people already say, you're from a big town. It don't matter. We all fight the same thing. We all have the same issues. So let's put our big boy pants on. Let's everybody get along. Everybody, we have the same thing in mind. So let's go get it done this time. Tony, you want to hop on in and tell us who's in next time? And Sean, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, everyone.
And anybody, yes, can the NABA send out a message to all members, the names and the email numbers of the senators we can contact to try to tackle this as a group? Abso-freaking-lutely. That's our plan. We're going to have a little strategy session this weekend. We should be ready to hit the ground early next week. And, you know, let's bombard these guys. I mean, it doesn't have to be one person. Let's get 5 shops, 6 shops, 7 shops contacting these guys that are in those areas, and let's get it done. So thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. And thanks everybody for coming tonight. Hope it was valuable information. Next month, we've got a 2-part series coming up with David Luer, so don't miss it. We look forward to having you all join us in February for his 2-part series. James, anything else from you?
No, I'm good. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope you found some value in this. Please, seriously, any questions, email us, info@nebraskaautobody.com. We want to try and head off anything like that before it's too late. So please reach out. Stupid question or not, I ask stupid questions all the time. Ask Gina. So
No such
goodbye,
thing.
everybody.
Question.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all. Can somebody hit the stop record?